Back to the election campaign now, and the thing for the Labor Party is that they can't win without the Greens. They can't govern without the Greens. They rely on Greens preferences in countless seats to get across the line, and they depend on the Greens to vote with them in the Senate if they happen to win government. So Labor needs the Greens. They love the Greens, except when the Greens talk, because when the Greens share their nutty ideas, it reveals to voters what a Labor Greens government would do. Remember last time they gave us a carbon tax Labor had promised not to introduce? They also helped open up our borders, churning 50,000 people through detention and leading to at least 1,200 deaths off our shores. So what do the Greens want to do if they can help Labor form government this time? Well, their leader, Adam Bandt, told us today at a National Press Club address.
Our enemy is the climate crisis. The enemy is fuelled by coal and gas. Mining and burning coal and gas is killing people. And Liberal and Labor want more. The war is bleaching our reef, burning our forests to the ground, dropping rain bombs on our cities and towns, damaging our communities and our economy. Last month, I was in the flood-hit areas of Brisbane and Lismore. It was like a war zone. Floods had ripped through the towns, uprooting people from their homes. And this war isn't happening in 2030 or 2050, it is happening now.
Rain bombs, a war zone. Yeah, climate hysteria. In a land of droughts and flooding rains, in a land whose environment is scarred, shaped and even reliant on bushfire, the Greens and other climate activists pretend all this is new and pretend they can create a global thermostat by changing policies in Australia where we produce 1.2% of global emissions and falling, while emissions are growing globally thanks to countries like China, India, Indonesia and many others. OK, that's crazy anti-scientific stuff, but we know we get that from the Greens. What are the Greens' political plans?
No more coal and gas. When we're in balance of power after the election in the Senate and the House and have kicked the Liberals out, this will be our key demand. In this time of climate and environmental emergency, stop opening coal and gas mines.
So that's the first item. The first demand to a Labor Greens government will be to stop all new coal and gas projects, a massive hit on our economy, on jobs and on our export prospects. And it gets worse, you know. As I keep saying, it doesn't matter whether Labor is in minority government or if it even won majority government in the House of Representatives, it still needs to dance to the Greens' tune to get its agenda through the Senate. And doesn't Adam Bandt know that?
Even if Labor does pull off a once-in-a-20-year swing and wins majority government in the lower house, the Greens will hold the balance of power in the Senate, potentially in our own right.
All right, so this is where it gets very scary. What about our national security? In this dangerous world with China belligerent, building up its massive defence forces and even supporting Russian aggression, would the Greens be on Australia's side as we finally try to recover from decades of submarine negligence and work with the US and Britain to arm ourselves with nuclear-fuelled submarines?
I mean, the purchase of these floating Chernobyls, which will come in a couple of decades, if at all, is designed to have submarines that can travel much further outside Australian waters than the current submarines can. Now, why is that? Other than a switch from being about Australia's self-defence to being offence and being an arm of another country's, the United States, offensive capabilities.
Extraordinary. An Australian politician describing Australian bipartisan defence policy as aggressive in the region, on the offence in the region, along with our alliance partner, the US. China will love those comments. They are the line from Beijing repeated by an influential Australian politician. This is as startling as it is disgraceful. It's as naive as it is dangerous. Labor has certainly supported in a bipartisan way this crucial AUKUS deal, and it's in lockstep with the coalition behind the US alliance. But what pressure would come from the Greens onto Labor over defence and foreign policy in order to keep balance of power support. On the economy and on defence, the Greens and their leverage over Labor pose a deadly serious threat to our nation's future.